Alrighty.
Okay, we are live too.
Perfect.
And yeah, just a minute.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is the 145th International Convention of the Theosophical Society. This is day 2. This is Youth Forum number 2. It's the end of the day, so bear with us if you're tired. I want to give thanks to Tim Boyd and everyone and Adyar and all the volunteers who are helping to make this convention go smoothly. Thank you very much. It's been wonderful. And I also want to give a quick shout out to Raphael Albuquerque. Sorry, I'm probably not saying your last name the way you would like it, but I just wanted to say thank you to Raphael for setting a good example with the youth in Brazil for many years, and for helping to put together the youth forums that we've been taking part in the past couple months, and also for helping with the Zoom tonight and putting this panel together. So we have people from all around the world joining us. So if you guys like, you can say hello in the chat box. You can tell each other your name and say what country you're from. That would be pretty nice. My name is Justin Tanksley, and I'll be the host tonight and your MC, Master of Ceremony. And I'm from Aurora, Illinois, and with the Wheaton Alcott Lodge, which has become like a family to me. It's a very wonderful group of students and teachers of Theosophy, and I'm very blessed to be in their atmosphere with them. I also study with the Dharma Study Center. It became an official study center this year, so that's been great. That's also a very close group that I consider like a family, and it has very strong leadership. And I also helped to found a group called YADA, or Young Adult Theosophists in America. That was founded this summer. And I also helped to found a virtual center for Theosophical Society, or for Theosophical Studies. I always mess that up. But that is a center that is primarily working online. And if you would like to know more, you can visit theosophy.online. Tonight, we're going to have 3 panelists. They'll be speaking for roughly 9 minutes each. And we will have topics from the Far East to India to the West. And so we'll have a topic that is going to talk about consciousness within Buddhism and Taoism. We will also have a topic about the renewal of the mind from a yoga perspective. And we will also be listening to a talk about Western symbolism. Well, we'll see Western symbolism being used to illustrate the law of periodicity in order to find meaning and purpose and hope for a brighter future. So after the 3 talks that we will experience together, we will have a breakout session where we'll be put into perhaps 4 rooms. We'll see how many people we have and we'll get it divided. But after the talks, we'll have a quick discussion. There are some predetermined questions, but it would be nice if you have any ideas or questions during the talks that you maybe write down a little note, and you can bring that to the discussion group with you. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the first speaker. His name is Cristobal, also known as Cristosol Flores. He's from Guadalajara, Mexico. He's 27 years old. He's been a member of the Theosophical Society since 2017, and he's studied Buddhism and Taoism for 6+ years. He also has studied the Kabbalah and Hermeticism, and Cristosol is a Freemason and has a love for the study and the practice of Theosophy, which has been able to change his life. He is a software engineer, and he owns his own development company, and he's speaking today about the cycles of consciousness within Buddhism and Taoism. So take it away, Cristosol.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Perfect. Okay, so can you see my screen now?
Yes, looks good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so my topic here, I'm gonna cover a brief this description of what is consciousness, and specifically in the cycles of nature or cycles of our own consciousness, from Buddhism and Taoism, which are very similar, as we will see in the next slide. Okay, so we can ask ourselves, what is consciousness in these two traditions? First, we can define consciousness in the perspective of Buddhism is the experience of awareness, of being a subjective point of view, a mind continuum that survives a physical death. We can compare this concept with a higher mind in theosophy or casual body in manas, which is called manas in Sanskrit. The Buddha thought that consciousness is an always continuum, like a stream of water. Consciousness has four layers, which I will briefly describe. The four layers of consciousness are mind consciousness, which is our analytical mind. It can be compared to the lower level of the mind, which is described in theosophy. It can be compared to that, like the concrete mind that only deals with concrete things. Then we have the sense consciousness, which is related to our senses, the five senses that we possess. That actually we have the impressions from the outside, and they become part of us as the impressions hit our brain or our consciousness in this case. The third consciousness, which deals with memory, with all the past experiences we have. This third consciousness actually stores, as just like its name says, all the memories that we have, what we have known so far in our lives. And lastly, the last layer is manas, which, as I said, we can say that it's kind of the causal body or the higher mind, which it's stored all the things that will potentially become in effects in our life. For example, if we have done bad things, then that means that these bad things will manifest themselves in our life as part of this higher mind, which is preserved after we die or physical death. The rest of the other three levels of consciousness are lost or are renewed in our once we reincarnate. The other one is the continuum, the mind continuum, that which is described in many Buddhist traditions. So we can say that in that concept of manas. In Taoism, we understand consciousness as a momentary experience, as if the perception of weight that one has at a particular instant. There would be no assumption of perceptual continuity. What my consciousness is now is not necessarily what it was a moment ago, or what it will be in a moment from now. Since all things in a way are subject to transformation, consciousness would be presumed to be fluid, not static. So it's constantly changing. So we're going to link two things here, consciousness and reincarnation. From the theosophical perspective, the level of our awareness or consciousness renews in each incarnation in correspondence to our karma or level of our soul and its advancement in evolution. So our level of consciousness will be equal to the level of advancement of our soul as we incarnate and gather more experiences through all of our lives, as we traverse this wheel of samsara, which is the experience that we're having right now. In modern Taoism, teaches that spirits can live one after physical death, and it can migrate to another physical body. So it's not different from the Buddhist perspective. So there's no perceived end to one life and the beginning of another. Instead, Taoists see reincarnation as a continuous of the eternal Tao process. So one thing we can notice here is that the Wheel of Samsara describes 6 realms in which we can reincarnate to. 3 higher levels, which is the human experience, the semi-gods, and the gods, which are described here in the higher on the top. On the bottom, we have the realm of the animals, the abbot spirits, and the infernal spirits. So it's like the Buddhist hell is described here. So we can either be born in any of these 6 realms. So many traditions say that we are born into them, but it's that kind of the experience we have into the subtle planes, as Theosophy describes, as we lose the layers of our 4 lower bodies. We get into the astral plane. So these levels that are described in many Buddhist traditions, from my perspective, they're talking about the astral plane and all its levels until we reach the higher side of the samsara wheel, which is the heavens, or the higher mind plane, which is described like heaven in Theosophy. So that's kind of my representation. So we are born in those 6 realms, and so those, from the Theosophical perspective, it's the all the planes that we travel to once we lose our physical body. Okay, so just to sum up a little bit, Buddhism and Taoism share the idea of consciousness is a continuous cycle, and our conditions in this cycle depend greatly on our actions in this life. Lao Tzu, which is the founder of Taoism, the Tao is constant and everlasting. At the deepest, most fundamental level, there is no distinction of separation between you and the Tao. Therefore, what is true for the Tao must be true for you as well. Your true self is an unchanging point of consciousness in the middle of a constant change. The consciousness moves through lifetime after lifetime experience, changes after changes, remains essentially you. Your karma, dharma, events in life, your gifts, and the lesson you have learned. It has placed a path in eternity through many incarnations, with many more to come. The path is the Tao, and the Tao is you. Just a little reflection there. So as we take part of the pilgrimage in our eternal evolution, as Theosophy describes, our evolution is eternal. So it clearly does not have a beginning and does not have an end. We live many lives in many personalities until all lessons are learned and we are ready for the initiation, which is an expansion of consciousness. So we break away from the samsara. So this enlightenment grants us to pass to the next realm, the realm of free souls, which is described also in Theosophy, and thus become masters of wisdom. So we see that our consciousness, as we travel into this pilgrimage, into these realms that we are living here in the physical realm, we see that at some point we break away from these cycles. So our consciousness corresponds to that cycle that we're living in. So right now we have the human experience, for example. So before that, we must have had the animal experience or the mineral experience. So we have our consciousness corresponds to that cycle. So these cycles make us greater, and our consciousness begin to expand as we traverse these planes and in this existence, in these lives that we continuously have. Through the experience of incarnation and like being born and then die. So that endless cycle grants us a greater consciousness as we move on in our evolution. So just a couple of quotes from Taoist masters and the Kybalion. The law of cycles or rhythm is present in all levels of existence and in all planes. That's from the Kybalion. To a mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. Lao Tzu. So many of the Taoist teachings tell you that you should remain in the center of yourself. Stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. And lastly, this is the last quote. Love says I'm everything. Wisdom says I'm nothing. Between the two, my life moves. From Sri Nagarata Maharaj. Well, that's it from my part. Thank you all very much for being here, and well, we'll take it over to you, Justin.
Oh, thank you, Krista Soul. You're literally, on my clock at least, you were within 1 second of that 9-minute mark. So that was very nice. And I thank you for giving that talk and being able to say something about such a large topic in 9 minutes. That's something you could probably give a whole weekend or spend a whole lifetime talking about. So I really appreciate that, and really good job with the time. Next
you.
up, we'll have another speaker, and that is Daphne Pires Pinto. And Daphne has been a member of the Theosophical Society in Brazil since 2012. She was the president of the Jinara Jadasa Lodge of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, from 2015 through 2017. Currently, Daphne leads a study group about Raja Yoga in Nirvana Lodge of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. She has also been a Hatha Yoga instructor since 2013, and she is an Ayurveda massotherapist since 2016, as well as a newly formed holistic therapist and dancer. So here's Daphne with her talk. It's on the renewal of the mind through yoga.
Hello, everyone. So one person is asking to enter, so I am going to start my talk. I am going to talk a little about the renewal of the mind through yoga. So let me share the PowerPoint. One minute. Okay, so let's start. So there are several ways in which people can seek spirituality and overcome the dualities or pleasure, suffering cycles in the world. Yoga is one of these ways. Here, I am going to focus in the path of Raja Yoga. The Raja Yoga is taught or indicated in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. It's a book that's not known for sure when it was compiled, but it brings a timeless wisdom. The Yoga Sutras book is divided into 4 parts: Samadhipada, Sadhanapada, Vibhutipada, and Kaivalyapada. The first part of Samadhipada presents what is yoga, the obstacles to yoga, and a view of samadhi, which is the state of communion of yoga. The Yoga Sutra 2 of Samadhipada is very famous and says, yoga is the dissolution of all reaction centers in the mind. Yoga is the cessation of the changes in the mind. These changes are the reaction centers that are formed in our mind when with the experience of pleasure and pain that we have throughout the life. The sum of these reaction centers forms our acquired nature that conditions our mind and behavior. In this way, we become conditioned, stuck to the past and to the patterns of behavior. And through yoga, we can free our mind and renew it. We can get a free mind. In the second part, the Sadhanapada, Patanjali show us the ways for we free our mind from these conditionings. So according to Patanjali, in the Sutra 29 of Sadhanapada, the 8 instruments of yoga are abstinence, observance, posture, breath control, abstraction, perception, attention, and communion or absorption. The name in Sanskrit for abstinences are yamas. Yamas are non-violence, no falsehood, no stealing, no indulgence, and no possessiveness. These are the abstinence, the things that we have to deny in order to start practicing yoga. And in the Sutra 32 of Sadhanapada, there are the niyamas. Niyamas are observances. They are purity, contentment, simplicity, self-study, and aspiration. These are things we should observe in order to practice yoga. These are the moral and ethics parts of yoga and the basis of the yoga. So in Sutra 46, it's about the posture. the posture must be firm and relaxed. So posture here is about the posture we have to assume in order to practice the mental culture. It's the core of yoga. And having attained the posture, there must be pranayama or breath control, which is the creation of an interval between inhalation and exhalation. So pranayama is the breath control that will make enough a mind with a good condition for the practice of meditation or mental culture. And in the last sutra of Sadhanapada, it's about the pratyahara. Pratyahara is the withdrawal of the senses. When the senses imitate the mind in its withdrawal action, it's called the pratyahara or abstraction. Till now, I spoke about the external part of yoga, and pratyahara makes a bridge between the external part and internal part. So now let's go to Vibhuti-pada that tell more about the internal part and present something like the siddhis, the powers that can be attained, but it's not the focus now. I will present only the internal part, the samyama, or the mental culture. The first sutra says about the dharana. The definition of internal extension of perception is dharana or perception. It's about the establishment of focus or perception. With the focus being established, so the unidirected attention happens. This attention is dhyana. In this state, watching the flow of thought without any interruption is dhyana or attention. It can be also called as mindfulness. And with the establishment of the mindfulness, the samadhi or communion happens. This is truly samadhi or communion, when only the object is seen, completely denying the presence of the observer. In the state of samadhi or communion, there is no observer and observed. Everything is a unique phenomenon. And the fourth sutra of Vibhuti-pada says about this mental culture, which is called the samyama or meditation. The three together, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, constitute samyama or meditation. So now let's go to talk a little about Kaivalyapada, the last session of Yoga Sutras. So in yoga, there is a cycle of ascension and descension. From yamas to samadhi, there is a process of ascension in which we make an effort to get out of conditioned, pattern-bound mind to reach a new and free mind. In samadhi, the effort ceases and the blessing of yoga comes. At this point, the descension process begins, which is compared to a cloud of blessings. So Kaivalyapada treats about this thing, the descension process, which brings us the freedom and the blessings of yoga. And in Sutra 29 of Kaivalyapada, it says, when the state of meditation is an end in itself and not a means to attainment of something, that pure and total awareness arises in which Dharma Mega Samadhi is born, meaning a spiritual experience comparable to a cloud of blessings. And according to Rohit Mehta comments, Dharma Mega Samadhi is the highest point of ascension, just as the point of ascension becomes the point of descension. Similarly, the point of descension is also the point of reascension. Ascension and descension must go on, as this is the rhythm of spiritual life. So it's about a cycle that happens in the yoga path. We can understand this cycle like ascension, when we go from yama to samadhi. In this point, we go to yoga. And after, once samadhi is attained, the yoga come to us. So the cycle in yoga is like this. We go to yoga, then yoga come to us. Okay? So I end here, leaving you guys with the task of thinking more about the cycle of ascension and descension of yoga. So thank you everyone for the attention. Namaste.
Thank you, Daphne. That was wonderful. It's been very nice to get to know everyone who's on the panel and spend some time together putting this together. And Daphne, I've just noticed you're very gentle and kind and very peaceful, and I appreciate that presence that you bring with you. So moving on to our last talk. This is going to be given by a friend and a dear brother, and his name is Noy Chanramani. He's 37 years old from Ohio in the United States. Noy is a member of the Theosophical Society in America, and he is a national speaker for the society. He is also, I'm sorry, Noy, I'm messing up your thing. Messing up your intro. He's a national speaker for the society, and he's currently serving as a central district director of the Theosophical Society in America. He is also secretary of the Canton Study Center of the Theosophical Society in America, which he helped to found. And he is the president-elect of the American Federation of the International Order of Freemasonry for men and women, Les Droits Humains. So without, and Noy is going to be speaking on the, I don't have your title in front of me. Let's just, yeah, he's got the light, Phoenix, and the serpent, perhaps.
All right, thank you, Justin. And thank you, brothers and sisters, for taking the time to join us today. Wonderful convention. Let me preface this by starting to say that these are definitely uncertain times. There's so much going on domestically and globally. The pandemic, economic insecurity, political turmoil, and social unrest, to name only a few. So many people are stressed out, worried, fearful, depressed, grieving, and angry about the state of current affairs. And it's often difficult to find peace or meaning within this turbulent ocean of human suffering. But there are many reasons to put our faith in the unintelligible divine plan for the unfolding of the human experience. And with this faith, we may cultivate hope for brighter days ahead. All throughout recorded history, mankind has suffered catastrophe after catastrophe. Everything from natural disasters to famines, plagues, war, and even genocide. Time and time again, humanity has risen taller, continued forward, and leapt great bounds after all of the tragedies we have faced. After the planet warmed from the stagnating cold of the previous ice age, humanity launched into the Neolithic Revolution and laid the foundations for agriculture, writing, ordered societies, and civilization. Humanity progressed through the Stone Age to the Bronze Age and eventually gave rise to the Classical Age. Classical antiquity saw the development of education, medicine, philosophy, arts, music, mathematics, architecture, and astrology. For more than 1,000 years, learning and civilization saw steady advancements, but most of that progress was halted as the Western world fell into a dark age after the fall of the Roman Empire. Old systems of governments were toppled and organized education saw a sharp decline. Skipping over lots of important history, The Dark Ages were transformed with the light of the 12th century Renaissance, which saw the revitalization of social order, political reforms, and the renewed pursuit of education. The progress of the 12th century Renaissance came to an abrupt halt as the world suffered an estimated 75 to 200 million human casualties from the bubonic plague, Black Death, pandemic of the mid-1300s. After the political, social, and religious chaos of the Middle Ages, humanity began to re-explore and rediscover the arts and sciences and knowledge of the classical age, which reawakened the creative spark that helped to usher in the Great Renaissance. This period of human history was made famous by such great names as Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Machiavelli, Sir Thomas More, and William Shakespeare, just to name a few. Humanism developed during this time, and humanism asks us to consider and reason the impact and responsibility of our choices and actions, both as individuals and as a collective humanity. The invention of the printing press spurred the expansion of literacy and learning, which led to the scientific revolution, giving us modern medicine, science, the scientific method, biology, chemistry, and physics. This surge of learning was opposed and embattled by many religious inquisitions and the suppression of free thought and free speech. The age of discovery soon followed as the old world of Eurasia and Africa made historic contact with the new world of the Americas. This exciting era has been eclipsed by the slaughter of indigenous Americans, the violent colonial conquest of the Americas, and the most inhumane example of chattel slavery that the world has ever seen, with the enslavement of African Americans for more than 400 years. The Enlightenment and the Age of Revolution, with its call for freedom, liberty, and equality, came as a result of the widespread sharing of literature, ideas, opinions of the common people. This, like previous upward trends of development, was met with tragedy in the form of wars and the collapse of many of the world's monarchies and empires. Great advances in science, invention, engineering, and manufacturing flourished during the Industrial Revolution and Technological Revolution. These great strides in advancement were struck by various smallpox pandemics, World War I, the Spanish flu, the Great Depression, and World War II. But out of the ruins of such great catastrophes, humanity conceived of the idea of universal human rights, a stronger worldwide call for the freedom and equality of all, and it even ushered in the digital age of information. All of these trends of advancement and catastrophe are exemplary of the theosophical law of periodicity, or the law of cycles. The theosophical teachings detail the concept of cycles with the illustration of ebbing and flowing, day and night, and even the active manvantaric manifestation of the universe with its opposite pralaic rest and cessation of activity. When we observe the world around us and within us, we find that the cycles of periodicity are fixed and immutable laws of our current existence. The reality of human experience is bound to an unimaginable plethora of interconnected cycles. Each ending phase of a cycle gives way to the beginning of a new phase of that same cycle, and eventually that new beginning will become a new ending. We can envision this idea with the ancient image of the Ouroboros. The Ouroboros outlines the seal of the Theosophical Society and is a symbolic depiction of a serpent or dragon swallowing its own tail. The end is the beginning, and the beginning is the end. Light emerges from darkness, order arises from chaos, creation succeeds destruction, and according to Theosophy, life and death follows a cyclical karmic dance of reincarnation. And with all of this, I hope to reaffirm faith in the unintelligible divine plan through the contemplation and meditation of cycles. Humanity is currently faced with many problems and struggles. Although the world feels a little colder and a little darker, history has given us a proven track record of cycles. We see so much suffering and wickedness in the world today, not merely because things are getting worse, but rather because we are actively faced with the consequences and results of the collective karma of all of humanity. We are being faced with the ugly side of our nature as an opportunity to be aware of it and work toward improvement. A downward tendency gives us opportunity for upward tendency. And in the context of the long stretch of human history, statistically, nearly everything has been getting better for us. For example, human rights, standards of living, public education, food, clean water, and improved healthcare for all are available to more people now than any time before. We still have great strides to make in the areas of social justice, equitable equality, and world peace. But the fact is, humanity is aware of the problems, and more people daily have a desire for something much better. It's a part of our evolution as human beings. We will eventually see the ending of wide-scale apathetic suffering, and the destruction of our world. And with that day will arise a new compassionate social awakening of the universal brotherhood and sisterhood of humanity without any distinctions. And just as the phoenix of Greek mythology dies, only to be reborn from its own ashes, we can have hope for brighter days ahead for all of humanity through the consideration of cycles and the closing of the current phases of suffering to make way for something better, a cycle of renewal. Let us all have hope for a brighter future for all. Thank you.
Wonderful talk, Noy. It's been great to get to know you in this last year, and we are creating a brotherhood between everyone who's partaking in life at whatever pace that we're moving. But as Theosophists, I think it is our duty to continue to bring compassion and love and these ideas to the world so that we can help each other grow and understand what's going on, so we can better move into the future. So thank you all, the panelists. It's not quite over yet. We're going to have a little bit of a discussion, and Raphael has put the questions up on the screen. If anyone wants to take a screenshot or just look over the questions, that's there for you. And before we go into the breakout session, Raphael, did you want to take a screenshot of everyone who's in attendance? And then
sorry, sorry, we can do that. I will just stop the screen sharing.
Okay.
Would we stop streaming so we end the official streaming of the session, then we begin to be only in the group here? Or
yeah, you can end the streaming for the talks, and for the rest of the time we'll just be with each other here.
Okay, so I'd like to also thank everyone who was watching, and hope it was very fruitful short talk. We were watching the comments, and it was very nice to receive greetings from different places of the world of people who were watching from YouTube. So we are stopping the streaming now.